Hey, welcome back for another video, and this one is actually going to be a three-part series. These are all upgrades I'm going to do to my truck for hauling my travel trailer, camper trailer that I just got. And these are going to be the three important upgrades that I do for just essential upgrades. So in part one, we're going to do the trailer brake controller and a little module here. We're going to install that in the truck behind the dash and everything, and then after that is in place. But I ordered this from Course Motorsports. I'll put their link in the description, and this I actually got from eBay for about 180 bucks. Saved a lot of money, and I made sure to call the dealership and match up the part numbers. So this is the correct one for my year and style truck. Let's get started. All right, I'm going to go over the tools real quick that I am going to use. I'm using an impact driver, but I mean, you could just as easily use a normal drill and dial back the settings on it. But if you're pretty easy with the trigger, you shouldn't break anything, so you can kind of control. You don't have to go full bore with it. A Phillips head screwdriver, some 1/4 inch extensions, an impact adapter for 1/4 inch T20. Here's a different style of T20. This little stubby 1/4 inch ratchet, a 7mm wrench, and just some decent lighting, maybe a headlamp or something. It's going to be pretty dark in there. And that's about it for tools. All right, so up top here is where you'll start. You just pull this little rubber pad out of there, and the two T20 screws are actually right there and there. Next, what you'll do is come down here, and again, there's this little rubber pad out of here, and it just peel it up at the corner here, lift it on out of here. And this is where you're going to use your 7mm. See what I mean? You can go nice and easy with an impact if you need to. My fat fingers can't seem to get that screw out of there, but I'll get it. So that's done. Next, what we'll do is come to this little cubby over here. Another rubber pad. Pop that out of there. And if we look inside here, there's a T20 hiding back there. Drive that out of there. See how easy that comes out of there? That's all you need. All right, see if I can get it. I'm gonna have to get a magnet in there or something. My fingers and my hands are just too fat and stubby. All right, I hadn't mentioned this already, but this is a 2016 Ram Outdoorsman. It has the full center console in it, so there's a few extra steps to this this process here, and that basically that's what I'm doing here. That's what I'm showing you, exactly what you need to do for this style of center console. Okay, so next thing what we'll do is we're going to go around here and separate. See how I can get my fingers in between here? And we're just going to go ahead and go around and pop this apart. There we go. Here it start to pop up out of there. The other side, it feels very wrong. It feels like it should you're breaking something, but that's not the case. let's get this guy out of here. Yep. Oh, look, I friggin', what's that, a loony? Canada. Yeah, bub. Alright. There are 2 screws here. That's what I had the Phillips head for, so. Alright, so take note of that. Make sure you get all the screws out before you start yanking on shit. I don't think I ruined anything, but I could have, I suppose. Ah, there we go. There's that one. The other one's right here. Set those up here. Okay, so moving on. It's free now. And don't forget, there's a little 12 volt right here. That's gonna have a wiring harness on the back. Right there. This harness is the squeezed, like you squeeze this tab right here. And it pops out of there, just for reference. Now might be a good time to give this a good cleaning too, where it's out of the truck. And you can really detail this if you wish to do so. All right. Now that the easy part is done, what we're gonna do next is pop this piece off. Here, this whole section right here. I tried using these, kind of useless. So I started right here and gave it a yank. And you can hear that. So just, you may be able to do this down into tools and then work the other side. Just like that. Yeah, it popped out of there. It sounds awful. It sounds like you're breaking shit in there, but I'll show you what the clips look like once I get this off. What you're gonna do is get in behind here and just start unplugging all these wiring harnesses. All right, all the harnesses are unplugged. Yes, so for your little dial drive control thing, is this harness right here. And just a note, you have to slide this red piece back and then you can depress it to release it. So that's the only one with a different style harness. All right, now we can move this out of the way. And actually, I'm gonna blow out my vents and clean them a little bit too while I got it all apart. And I wanted to show you too as well that these little plastic, see these little white plastic clips, and they just clip into here. So that's what you're hearing when you're pulling on it and releasing it there. It's kind of an ignorant thing to do, but I mean, that's how I got it off, and I didn't break anything, at least as far as I know. Okay, we're down here by the pedals. There are 2 Phillips head screws. Here's the first one. Not sure why it looks like that. Here's the second one. Not good. So you pull straight on it like this. You got to pull pretty hard for it to release. Just feels unnatural again, but that's how you do it. And then I just pulled up like that. All right, I'm gonna pull these harnesses, or at least this guy, just to move it out of the way so we can work on installing the plate for the module. All right, my apologies about the furnace running in the background. It's very cold this time of year and it just runs non-stop, so just have to bear with me on this. and I'll explain real quick what I'm doing. So I have this plate here that we're going to install next, but before we do that, we want to make sure that the holes are threaded, because from what I've seen, getting this in a place and trying to put these in is kind of a pain in the ass because there's such little room to work in there. So what we'll do is thread this through with our impact, and this takes 7mm. All right, you get the idea. Anyway, that's what we're gonna do before we move this into position and bolt it. Okay, so according to the directions, we're gonna mount the module right here on the outside of the door. Just gonna screw in through the sheet metal on the door, and should be good. So your actual harnesses are right here. They're wrapped up for protection. So you just unwrap them and feed them back through this way, just to give yourself a little more room. And see how it just kind of fit into place. And then we're gonna thread them from the back side. I'm gonna do that off camera because I need both hands. But I've heard getting this one in here is kind of a challenge because there's this big wiring harness here that's in the way. And I think with that being said, I'll use this mount here and this one up here to secure in place. I don't think that's going to be an issue. For the bottom screw here, you kind of get 2 fingers behind the plate and you kind of thread it in there like that. I have a feeling it's going to be the same for the upper one. There's really not a lot of room to work up in there, so I'll do that and I'll come back to when we tighten it down. All right, both screws are in on the bracket. The only way I can explain that is it's very frustrating. There's not a lot of room to work back there with your hands. So you gotta make do with what you have. I have a little 7mm right here that I used for the bottom to get in behind here. And oh wow, that was just like crazy. Not fun. And this little stubby 1/4 inch, I was able to reach in here. And I don't know, this took a long fucking time to do. So, I mean, you'll know when you do this. My only recommendation is if you see this video, most likely this is what you're gonna be doing. But I mean, had I known I was gonna do this, I would have, when I bought this truck, said, hey, why do I have a towing package and I don't have a trailer brake controller? Can you throw that in before I buy it? That's what I should have done, but it's too late for that now. Anyway, that's in. All we got to do now is take this module here and pop it in here like so. You get the light up on there. All right, you got this orange plug. That will go in the top. Like so. There we go. And then this son of a bitch goes here. Okay, that's in there. And you want to make sure to just like plug in anything that you unplugged. My ignition. And then pop this panel back on. So this part is done. I'm gonna put this panel back, and we'll move on to the dash and installing the actual controller mechanism. All right, this panel is flipped around. You have 4 Phillips head screws here. And since I just broke my camera stand, I'll get this done and I'll snap back. All right, so you can see this is what you got here. That's what the front of the plate looks like. You flip it around. This is your trailer brake control. And basically you're just gonna line it up with this guy. And now I have the controller in there, and it looks nice and factory OEM, Very nice. To get the old one out of there, just put a flathead screwdriver in between this. See how I'm flexing it up a little bit, and that'll release these clips. You can pop the old one out of there. So we'll put this back in like so. Anyway, don't have enough hands, so I'll put it back in there and put the screws in. And just keep in mind when you're putting these screws in, just hand tighten them with your screwdriver, because I mean everything here is plastic. You don't want to mess anything up when you get to this point. It just would really suck. Nah, that's it. So we're gonna pretty much plug all the harnesses back in and stuff this back into the truck. Okay, so you can see we have 6 plugins. This is for your outlet and your controls down here, etc. We're gonna plug all this stuff back in, off the dash back in. All right, so it pushes in there just as hard as it does when you take it out of there. So it seriously feels like you're gonna break something, especially around the radio here. But you just gotta force it in there. Those clips they hold really strong. Remember, we have the one T20 that goes in there and the 2 up top. At this point, I'm gonna do the cell phone mount install, because it's going to install using the locations. The plate actually goes down here, and then that little rubber pad goes on top of it. And they provide you with a couple of Phillips head screws that are longer than the T20 screws, because you can see when I take this plate off, there's that cavity down there. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna screw those in there and put the rubber pad back on right now. So that's what it looks like screwed down in there. And I'll finish up this install, but I'm gonna move on next and put this part of the center console back in. All right, I got the 12 volt plugged back in. So we'll just go ahead and push down on this. And then you want to put the Phillips head screws in there, back in there, screw them in, put your rubber tray back in here, make sure everything's pushed down, all the clips are in there good, and then you can put the 7mm bolt back in there, and then your console will be back together, and we'll move on to finishing the phone mount. All right, so the rest of the phone mount here, I'm gonna take this little steel ball, thread it on here. And if you're curious, it is a 3/16. Okay, what we want to do next, take this collar, slip it on there like that. Take this piece, which is the base, press it over the ball, and then you're going to want to go back here and thread the collar onto the base and just get it into the position that you want. So that's a magnetic mount, and they supply 2 different style of magnets, a circular one, more of like a rectangular one. It applies with like the 3M tape on the back of your phone case, and that's about it. Once it's in here, I'll take a picture of it, but it's pretty simple. I just thought I would include this in the trailer brake install because it's going to be part of the setup. Anyway, the center console is back in, the dash is back in, everything's plugged in. And at this point, you're going to take it to the dealership and they're going to program it in to your computer, basically. So in Maine, it's about 125 bucks. I already called ahead just to see how much it would cost. And that about does it for the install. It doesn't really take too long. The only thing that takes a lot of time is the bracket for that module back here. And I highly recommend just using the two screw positions. They're kind of opposite of each other diagonally. That's about it. That wraps it up for the video. I hope you guys found anything useful out of this. Try to be as brief as I can and not too wordy. So stay tuned. The next one I'm going to do is I'm going to put tow mirrors, better visuals on your tires and whatever you're hauling. So that is next. Thanks for watching.